So Formula Student Germany was the second competition we partook in this summer. If you want to hear about how we fared in the first competition, which was Italy, then, well, you're gonna have to go watch that video. The packing and unloading procedure was pretty much the same as it was for Italy. Only thing being that Germany is obviously a lot closer to Holland than Italy, so thus we didn't really have to drive for all that long. And before long, we found ourselves unloading everything from the vans again and putting up our campsite with the all too familiar green army tent. During FS Germany, it was fortunately a lot cooler than when we were in Italy, so both the team members and the car actually fared a lot better. Now, Formula Student Germany is a lot bigger than Formula Student Italy. With over 100 teams partaking, it is by far the largest Formula Student competition in the world, and as such, it's held at the Hockenheim circuit, which is absolutely massive. It's got grandstand, a giant central tower, this weird oil thing, and a lot of tarmac. This time around there were also a lot more sponsor stands, and students were lining up here every day to get free goodies, like ponchos, a lot of free t-shirts, hats, and water bottles, but also free coffee, so that's always fun to get. Now the event was officially kicked off with a big opening ceremony that was done really professionally. It was held in a big hall with a stage with monitors. There was a light show to go along with it, and there was even videos in there sliced together from that very same day. So I gotta give him props for that. In typical German fashion, the rules and timetables were holy. Whereas in Italy's teams were sort of free to wander throughout the scrutineering area. In Germany, this entire section was completely gated off, and you could definitely not get in unless you had a very bright Dynamics area vest, which had to be worn at all times. The Germans definitely don't joke around when it comes to rules. This time around, scrutineering went pretty smoothly. We passed most of the tests without too much hassle. During the rain test, our car did shut off, so we were afraid that it might have short-circuited. But it turned out that the emergency stop button box just ran out of batteries, and with its last pulse of energy, it decided to shut the car off for safety reasons. So after swapping out the battery, we passed this one just fine. At our static events, we did quite well again. We got through to the design judging finals, and here the judges once again asked some very tough questions about the car's design, and then the tougher questions still are the ones where they actually ask about insight into the car's design. So say if you were to change that about the car, then what happens? So I wasn't there personally, but I got the impression from my teammates that there was definitely some tough questions in there. Now at the next static event, the custom manufacturing event, we did pretty well too. The judges were very happy that we even put the two band-aids on the nose of our car on the cost overview sheet. So with this, we passed through to the finals here. And these finals were held on the 4th floor of that big central tower. Now here, aside from the rather fantastic view, our team had about 15 minutes to figure out the logistics of converting our driverless Formula Student team to a functional driverless car manufacturing company. And more specifically, how we would alter the car's design to upscale it, and all the manufacturing processes that go along with that. The judges seemed happy enough with our story, and they were sure to ask a lot of questions. After this though, it was time for the dynamic events. At the linear acceleration event, our car unfortunately did have the tendency of kind of veering off to the left. We had to rerun this a bunch of times, which unfortunately ate into the rest of the time we had. So the last dynamic event we could partake in was the track drive. This is where your autonomous car has to navigate through an unknown track 10 times as quickly as it can. After one aborted start, we anxiously wanted to show the bystanders that our car does in fact work. On the second attempt though, it drove past the starting line, then it correctly maneuvered around the first corner, and then the second corner. And pretty soon we had a full lap in there. And from there on, it seemed to go rather smoothly, so our anxiety started to seep away. After the 9th lap though, we started getting nervous again. Continued going pretty steadily around every corner, but it stopped just before the finish line. Now, technically, it did complete 10 full laps, but since you have your car start out just before the finish line, so you can abort your start should that be necessary, it stopped at 10 laps, which meant that it didn't actually complete the 10 laps in this particular configuration. It stopped just a mere 2 meters before the finish line, thinking that it had completed its mission. So we were kind of bummed out about that, but we didn't really particularly mind though, because our car had driven as we had hoped. Completing the 10 full laps was just a nice bonus that would have been sprinkled on top of that. Now there were some other driverless cars that performed really well on the track too. Sapienza was there once again, and they sped down the track with their magnificent autonomous combustion engine car. The track drive though marked the end of the dynamic events for the driverless competition. For the rest of the competition we could still admire the combustion and electric cars with drivers zipping by. At the award ceremony we won the number 2 prize for our business presentation and the number 1 prize for the custom manufacturing event. To our pleasant surprise we also won the number 3 prize overall for driverless, which we are definitely very happy with considering this is our very first year competing and the competition at FS Germany is pretty fierce. So that concludes a very successful first season for the driverless division of Formula Student Team Delft. Not only did we construct a working driverless car with a completely new team, half of whom are an ocean away, but in the 2 competitions that we partook in this summer, we also secured 2 podium places. So overall, we are very happy about how everything turned out. And in the last few weeks, we've been passing the torch to a competent new team who will improve upon our car. Obviously with the hope of securing that number 1 spot in Germany next year. So it's been a pretty wild ride, but we're satisfied. Anyways, that is how Germany went down for us, so I hope you enjoyed this video series overall, short as it might be. Maybe the new team will do something similar like this, maybe they'll do something entirely new, I'm not quite sure yet. But either way, we'll probably keep you posted somehow.